Hi everyone, and welcome back. In this video, I will go deeper into the individualized education program details and process, such as what steps are taken to create, review, or change an IEP. I will discuss the responsibilities of the school, adapted physical educators, and parents within this process, as well as information about the assessments involved in the IEP evaluation. For those of you who are new to this channel or the concepts discussed in this video, I recommend watching a related video on IEP information and how to qualify, as well as other details that may interest you related to these topics. I will link that video here and also at the end. So let's get right into what I have for you today. In order to qualify for the individualized education program, which is offered to any person with a disability between the ages of 3 and 21, either a parent, state agency, or local educational agency needs to submit a request for an initial evaluation of a child to determine if they have a disability. I have added a link with a list of developmental disabilities from the CDC to the description of this video. The school will then need to acquire parental consent for the evaluation to take place. The educational agency should provide parents with written details about the evaluation process and purpose so that they know what they are consenting to. The initial evaluation must happen within 60 days of receiving consent. During the evaluation, information about the child will be collected from a variety of sources such as aptitude and achievement tests, parent input, and teacher recommendations, as well as information about the child's physical condition, social or cultural background, and adaptive behavior. Once it has been determined that they have a disability, this information will be documented and carefully considered in the process of creating an individualized education program for the child in question. Here's a list of guidelines the school must comply with according to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. During the evaluation, the school must use a variety of assessment tools and strategies to gather relevant functional, developmental, and academic information about the child, including information provided by the parent that may assist in determining whether the child has a disability and the content of the child's IEP, including information related to enabling the child to be involved in and progress in the general education curriculum, or for a preschool child to participate in appropriate activities. The school must not use any single measure or assessment as the sole criterion for determining whether a child has a disability and for determining an appropriate educational program for them. And they should use technically sound instruments that may assess the relative contribution of cognitive and behavioral factors in addition to physical or developmental factors. The assessment tools chosen should not in any way be discriminatory on a racial or cultural basis, and they should be provided in the child's native language or other method of communication that will yield the most accurate results. The findings should reflect the child's actual abilities and not be the result of the visual or hearing or motor disability, an intellectual disability, or an emotional disturbance, cultural factors, environmental or economic disadvantage, or limited English proficiency. Finally, these assessments should be provided by a qualified individual. The child will be assessed in all areas related to the suspected disability, including, if appropriate, health, vision, hearing, social and emotional status, general intelligence, academic performance, communicative status, and motor abilities. The evaluation should be comprehensive enough to identify the student's need for special education and related services. After this process is complete, the educational agency will provide parents with the evaluation report and eligibility details. If the student qualifies for an individualized education program, the school must create one within 30 days. The actual individualized education program will include the following components: a statement of the child's present levels of academic achievement and functional performance, including how the child's disability affects the child's involvement and progress in the general education curriculum. For preschool children, how the disability affects the child's participation in appropriate activities, and for children with disabilities who take alternate assessments aligned to alternate achievement standards, a description of benchmarks or short-term objectives. More on alternate assessments later. The IEP will also include a statement of measurable annual goals, including academic and functional goals, designed to meet the child's needs that result from the child's disability to enable the child to be involved in and make progress in the general education curriculum and meet each of the child's other educational needs. It will include a description of how the child's progress towards meeting the annual goals will be measured and when periodic progress reports will be provided. Also included is a statement of the special education related services and supplementary aids to be provided to the child or on behalf of the child, and a statement of the program modifications or supports for the school personnel that will be provided for the child to advance appropriately toward attaining the annual goals, to be involved in and make progress in the general education curriculum, and to participate in extracurricular and other non-academic activities, and to be educated and participate with other children with disabilities and non-disabled children in the activities just described. The IEP should also have an explanation of the extent to which the child will not be participating with non-disabled children in the regular class, if that turns out to be the case. A statement of any appropriate accommodations that are necessary to measure the academic achievement and functional performance of the child on state and district-wide assessments, and if the IEP team determines that the child shall take an alternate assessment, a statement of why the child cannot participate in the regular assessment and why the particular alternate assessment selected is appropriate for the child. Also to be included is the projected date for the beginning of the services and modifications described earlier, and the anticipated frequency, location, and duration of these services and modifications. And lastly, once the child is 16, the IEP should include appropriate measurable post-secondary goals based upon age-appropriate transition assessments relating to training, education, employment, and where appropriate, independent living skills. The transition services, including courses of study, needed to assist the child in reaching those goals, and beginning no later than 1 year before the child reaches the age of majority under state law, a statement that the child has been informed of their rights, if any, that will transfer to the child on reaching the age of majority. In all but 3 states, the age of majority is 18. And what the transfer of rights means is that the child, if deemed capable of providing consent, will gain the powers of the parent as far as making decisions about the individualized education program. Now let's take a look at who can be expected to take part in creating and maintaining a student's IEP. We have the child's parents, and when appropriate, the child themselves, at least one regular education teacher or special education provider, a representative of the local educational agency qualified to perform the required duties, and someone to interpret the instructional implications of evaluation results. Other individuals with relevant expertise or knowledge about the child can be allowed by the parents to join the team. The individuals listed under bullets 3 through 6 are required to be at IEP meetings unless both the parent of the child and the school agree in writing that the attendance of any of those individuals isn't necessary due to the nature of a particular meeting, or that individual submits their input regarding modifications to the IEP in written form prior to their absence. If neither parent can attend the meeting, the school should do what they can to have at least one parent participate using methods like phone and video conferencing. The process which happens during reevaluations will resemble that of creating a new individualized education program. A reevaluation can happen due to the request of the child's parent or teacher, if they deem it necessary based on the child's performance. Even if no request was made, the school must conduct a reevaluation of a student with an existing IEP at minimum once every 3 years, but no more than once per year unless otherwise requested. Assessments will be conducted in order to determine whether the student continues to have the disability and continues to need special education or related services, and whether adjustments need to be made to the existing services in order to help the child meet their IEP's annual goals. Alternate assessments are used for students that are unable to participate in general state or district-wide assessments, even with accommodations. These are usually students with significant cognitive disabilities. These assessments are related to the general assessments and reflect California Common Core state standards and the California Next Generation Science Standards to test for English, language literacy, mathematics, and science. But they are reduced in depth, breadth, and complexity in order to be appropriate for each student with a significant cognitive disability. The educational agency must notify the parents about how participation in such an assessment may affect the student's progress in earning a regular high school diploma. There are 3 types of alternate assessments. One's based on alternate achievement standards for students with the most significant cognitive disabilities. Ones that are based on modified academic achievement standards for students who are on track to learn general grade level content but may need extra time to accomplish this. And those assessments that are based on grade level achievement standards for students with disabilities who need an adjustment to testing formats or procedures that are not part of the general assessment and can't be addressed with the use of accommodations. There are 2 links in the description of this video with more information about alternate assessments. The student with an IEP will cease to qualify for services once they either graduate from high school with a regular diploma or their age exceeds 21 years, according to state law. At this point, the educational agency will provide the individual with a summary of their academic achievements and functional performance and offer recommendations to help the student meet their future goals. We've come to the end of this video, and there was a lot of information covered, so if you still have any questions or would like ideas for other resources to look at, please feel free to reach out via email or comment. And thank you for watching.